The framing of "but everybody is descended from kings" also ignores the impact on the social capital needed to get elected, that is, a family's self-knowledge of having some pre-existing link to rulership, even if they've lost the exact line. Then on top of that, the history of the United States has formed a structure of consent to the naturalness of a particular ruling minority continuing to rule. So you get liberal nationalists saying things like, yeah, of course about half of US presidents have proven lines to British kings now, with the others modeled as likely to, because the country was founded by the British and took a long time to become less British. Ignoring that there are indicators that on average presidents are more closely related to each other than any random set of Americans with old stock British ancestry, let alone descendants of immigrants from elsewhere. And ignoring that the average British Prime Minister may have less British royal ancestry than the average US president. Despite many PMs being aristocracy themselves, many of the others have a working class background that cannot be traced very far at all. And ignoring that the other largely British settler colonies also tend to have fewer of these links. It will just get better, they say, as representation becomes more representative of the populace. That is definitely a better alternative than it not happening. But what is the mechanism for achieving this, at a time that power is consolidating in the other direction, as per the design of a system that detests true movement toward decentralization, representation of smaller communities, and consensus-based democracy? Meanwhile, even when other networks of descent are allowed entry, like Scots-Irish of no known gentry royal background, it's only by replicating, through mechanisms like racial construction, colorism, and caste, the same power through identity pathways that formed that storm around the dust raindrops of gentry ancestry in the first place. So that even those who are not descended by record, or are less densely related, or unrelated by mathematical model, still get related through marriage, association, and highly profitable forms of fictive kinship. Depending on which exact parts of the story I'm talking about, I either get accused of falling for a light version of the conspiracy, or failing to recognize its hidden truth. But that's because there's a better explanation here. People with power tend to have closer relatedness with people in power because of nepotism and because of structures that organize social capital to follow lines that parallel or mirror genealogy. It's caste and class all the way down. So opposing it, which we must, involves regular methods for organizing against regular humans who can be defeated, and building voluntary horizontal methods of governance that prevent their return.